Addiction's been a part of my life since I was a teenager. And I've had bouts of sobriety and then relapses. I had all these concepts that I wouldn't be able to get help, like who was going to take care of my kids if I went away. So there was a lot of fear. But day after day after day, I knew I was just more and more miserable and more depressed and more scared. I didn't have a bad childhood. I wasn't doing it because, I hated my parents or, things were rough. I didn't have a drug problem. I was just experimenting with drugs until I got to college, and then I realized I couldn't think, I couldn't talk. I was suffering with my grades, and I was able to break away. I went out and met some new friends, and they were big into the club scene, and so then I was introduced to club drugs like ecstasy and ketamine and GHB and meth. I liked being awake. I liked feeling energized. But then that started to take its toll. Maybe if I got married, and maybe if I had a family, then that would force me into being responsible and giving this all up. I was still struggling with it, with my addictions the whole time, but eventually I did on my own stop. I had a great job. We lived in a 4,000 square foot custom home, my wife and my 3 children. And one night, about 4 in the morning, we hear, my wife wakes me up. She's like, someone's outside, and I go out there and there's a police officer, and he had just stopped 2 guys who had broken into our garage from coming in. Right before my eyes, my wife became this completely different person. Things got too much for me. And in the back of my mind, I knew, well, boy, if she went and got some crystal meth, then that would make this so much easier. My meth addiction started to rise, and my wife's opiate addiction started to rise, and she just started disappearing all day, every day. She'd come home with drugs. Eventually she told me, I met some people that are counterfeiters, and they're making fake money. She brought the whole process home, and I started counterfeiter with her, and I severed ties with my family, with my parents, with my brothers. So, any of the good friends I had, scared them away. Lost the respect of my employers and employees. The authorities caught on, and it was about a 2-year investigation, and they put GPS trackers on our car and raided our house. Our kids got taken away, and I just had this overwhelming feeling that something bad was going to happen, that I was going to get picked up by the police, or that it was over. And sure enough, the police showed up and ran off. But at that point, I had $1 in my pocket, no worldly possessions, and I just decided to walk over to my mother-in-law's house because I knew she had my children, and ask for help. And it wasn't easy, but it was the best decision I'd ever made, and things started to get better from there. I came back to Prescott, went to detox, went to rehab, stayed for 4 months. I still had to deal with my legal issues. So I went to jail, went to prison. My impulse or drive every day was just to, figure out how to get more money, how to get more drugs. But today I have habits. I guess I have a schedule. It's not just okay, I went to rehab and that's it. You learn all these different things about yourself and about your environment and about your spirituality and about your emotions, and all things that you've shut off or you've avoided for such a long time. I guess the ones that I hurt the most, or that I feel the most poorly about, is my children. Didn't realize the toll or the pressure or stress or fear I was putting on them. I mean, after everything was said and done, they would start sharing stories and tell me how they were afraid to, come check on me, come up to my bedroom and see if I was still alive, because they didn't want to, and that's horrible. Like, kids should never have to have that fear. Before, I always felt like I was hiding. If I was at home, I was hiding in my closet. If I was in my car, I had all the windows tinted out. If I was in the parking lot, I had the sun reflectors up on everything. I just felt like hiding from the world. And today, I go outside and I talk to people. And having the courage and the faith to, you know, be comfortable being very uncomfortable. I don't care who knows. Like, yeah, it happened. It doesn't define who I am. You know, it was my son who ultimately drove me up here when nobody else would, and got me into detox. You know, I tell him he's the one who saved my life all the time. I asked my daughters, like, so what do you want to see before we get back together? And they said, you need a car, you need a place for us to live, and no food stamps. And I thought, okay, it's not gonna happen overnight, but it's definitely doable.